Hand washing is a simple act, a basic action of taking responsibility for our health and well-being that can save our lives, or at least save us from unnecessary pain and discomfort. Hello and welcome onto The Mindset. I am Yetunde Akinyinka.
On The Mindset with Yetunde Akinyinka.
Keeping my hands clean has always been second nature to me. Growing up with a mom who was a pharmacist, I understood very early the relationship between germs and ill health and the possible role my hands can play in allowing germs into my body. After last week's enlightening episode where we learned to properly wash our hands, I did some reading up on the history of hand washing and I made some fascinating discoveries. It turns out human beings only learned the importance of hand washing a few centuries ago. There was a time no one, not even medical professionals, made the link between dirty hands, germs, and illnesses. Oh my goodness. That's why I love having you around. And I'm really glad you came today.
I'm glad to be here too. And this place is really nice.
Thank you.
The African mat, talking drum.
Yeah.
And then I'm seeing beautiful lights. It's like a fusion of the African and the modern. What's behind this?
Well, you know, the mindset is about health and well-being from an African perspective as it relates to the global. So that's the fusion right there. You know, from the last episode, I got a message. Someone sent me a message from the last episode, and I'll read it out to you right now. It was a question. It says, Dear Mindset, what do I do? I would like to wash my hands regularly. Oh, I didn't introduce you. You know me, I know you, but my people don't. So, hello everyone again. Today, I'm delighted to have in the house a very dear friend of mine, Dr. Akinyinka. Dr. Akinyinka is a consultant public health physician, and I'm very delighted, like I said before, to have her in the house.
So glad to be here too.
So, you know, I always assumed that this procedure, that you're going to need a whole bucket of water to do it properly.
That's hand washing.
Yeah, hand washing.
You really don't need that much water. You know, people have the impression you need a bucket or you need running water all the time from the tap. But we know that in Nigeria, many people don't have that luxury. So you can even use water that's in sachets.
Okay.
Like pure water.
Pure water.
The one we call pure water.
Will that quantity be enough?
Yes, to wash your hands.
Okay.
All you need is for somebody to help.
Okay.
And then open it and be pouring it. And then the person who is washing the hands can then wash. So it's like running water.
And
so you can then go through the process.
Yeah, all the ceremony of in between. It might look like ceremony, but it saves lives.
It does.
After last week's episode, I began to read up on the history of hand washing. And it's very fascinating. It's very fascinating, you know, doctors and surgeons carrying out surgical procedures without washing their hands.
In fact, it was terrible.
And I heard that the midwives discovered wash.
Well, I think it was the doctors.
Well, I don't know. I think it was the midwives. But, you know, since you know, I was going to read it. I was going to read it thoroughly. But since you are here, that would mean that let me just listen. Just tell me.
The midwives actually stumbled on it, and then the doctors then grabbed it and saw that it was working. So let me just tell the story.
Okay, yes, because I want to know how they stumbled on it.
Yes, so it's about a certain doctor, some Semmelweis, Dr. Ignaz Semmelweis is his name, right? So then it was the beginning of medicine.
Okay.
So they were trying to help people, delivering women, you know, helping them when they want to have their children and all. So they had midwives, and then doctors also used to start to do surgeries.
Okay.
Right? But they were not even washing their hands. And so outcomes were not as good as what they thought should be the outcomes. So what this doctor then discovered was that when the midwives, because sometimes they would have the midwives attend to the women, and then sometimes the doctors would come and attend to the women. So when it was the midwives attending to the women, the midwives would actually wash their hands, right? And then attend to the women. And so they were having better outcomes there. And the doctors would come from whatever they had done, whatever surgery, you know, and bring whatever it is they had on their hands, not wash their hands, and go there and attend to the women. And their outcomes were poor. You know, so they were having really poor outcomes. So he looked at both and was like, something is happening here.
Yeah, there's something wrong here.
So we have to find out what it is. So he looked at what each group was doing, and he saw that the doctors would come in without washing hands and attend. And then the midwives would wash their hands and then attend. They were having better outcomes. So he quickly put two and two together. And, you know, was able to come out with that if you wash your hands, you will get better outcomes, because you have taken away, you know, the germs that were with the hands and would have been brought onto, you know, that woman that was receiving the care. And so that became, you know, like the first, or the way in which we were able to find out that hand washing was actually really, really important and life-saving. So that's why I said it's the doctor. But actually, it's the nurses. It's the nurses that got it first.
What I picked from this, what I picked from all this is that, as we say, you know, in this part, nobody above mistake.
No.
You know, because I meet some people, and when I tell them about hand washing, you know, they say, oh, I didn't know how important it was. Now I can go and tell them that they don't have to feel bad. Don't feel bad. I mean, once upon a time, even all those people with their titles and their big knowledge, they had no idea about hand washing. But, you know, they say, whenever you wake up is your morning. Now that anyone knows about hand washing, they should begin to wash their hands to protect their health.
Exactly.
So
it's really, really important, because in fact the COVID pandemic also brought out the importance, because, you know, everybody now had to be washing hands all over the place. And, you know, I've always been like, I hope that we continue to do this.
That is my own. I think it also has to do with people not understanding why they're washing their hands. You know, they heard COVID was killing people, so that was a trigger for them to wash their hands.
But now,
as far as they're concerned, COVID is gone. So they can't link everyday activities with, you know, germs entering into their bodies through their hands. You know, I wish also, you know, the first time we had this frenzy of hand washing was monkeypox. During that monkeypox, people were washing their hands. In fact, you know, on Kaje, one of the characters said, we wash. We almost wash groundnuts before we... You know, so I really wish, you know, we could have maintained that tempo and, you know, continued to wash our hands, because there's dirt everywhere, you know, especially if you go out in public transport, in public places. I wish people could put a microscope on the banisters. I try not to touch the banisters. I don't, because, you know, it's amazing the things that you can pick up.
But for safety, sometimes you have to.
Yes, that's why I say I try not to touch. So there are sometimes, you know, I don't have a choice. But as soon as I can reach a tap or something, I wash my hands. Yes.
I always like to tell people, because it's really, really important to wash their hands, right? Especially once you have gone out and then you're back in the house. So wash your hands once you get to the house. Wash your hand after using the toilet. Wash your hand before preparing food. You know, the important times to wash after, you know, to wash hands, really, really important, and will save everyone a lot of hospital visits. We don't want people coming to the hospitals.
Are you sure?
We don't want,
because you know, sometimes people think doctors want people to come to the hospital, but I'm glad. I'm glad you don't. So essentially, they should work it into their routine. As soon as they come into the house, they wash their hands. You know what you're going to do for me? You're going to turn to the people out there and you're going to tell them for me to wash their hands. You know, when I tell them, they will tell me, "Shock by, is this a clinical psychology we're talking about? You think this, what is the business of mental health and hand washing?" So that's why I know when you tell them, they would listen because it's your field. If anyone, should know anything about hand washing, I know that a lot of medical professionals do, but I know that public health, you public health people, let me just say it like that in the layman's language, for me, that's health 101,
exactly.
hand washing. So please help me to tell them to wash their hands always and properly.
Okay, so let me say it again, since you have requested that I tell them.
And since you are in the capacity to do so.
And it is actually what we do, right? To tell people. So please wash your hands. Once you get home from wherever, please, the first thing should be wash your hands. Once you've used the toilet, please wash your hands. Before you prepare food, please wash your hands. Before you eat, please wash your hands. All the important timings for hand washing is really, really important, because you will save yourself, your family, all right, a lot of hospital visits, unnecessary visits, all right, because of the germs that would have been picked up if hands were not washed. So I say, and I advocate, and I plead, please wash your hands.
Thank you so much. Well, I hope you have listened to all the pleading and begging. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that has been our program for today. I hope you had a wonderful time, just like I did. Please, we can't overemphasize it. Wash your hands. Wash your hands. I would love to have you all around, to enjoy life. So, until I come your way again on the next episode, I am Yetunde Adenike. Stay blessed, and once again, please wash your hands.